Hello, and welcome to our review of the 2014 Cherokee, Jeep's controversial new compact SUV. Although Jeep's smallish SUV has always been called the Cherokee in South Africa, the vehicle was known as the Liberty in the US from 2002 to 2013. So, the return of the Cherokee name to the US market was welcomed by a lot of Jeep fans. Interestingly though, the return of the Cherokee nameplate has been accompanied by a rather dramatic change in design philosophy. How so? Well, the latest version of Jeep's compact SUV is essentially a crossover utility vehicle, sharing its underpinnings with the Dodge Dart and the Chrysler 200. And, to add insult to injury, the Cherokee is even available in front-wheel drive. Of course, Jeep does have another two-wheel drive vehicle in its range, in the form of the Compass. But the fact that the Cherokee, a vehicle very respected by off-roaders, has gone so soft is sure to annoy some. But hold on a minute, has it gone soft? While the new Cherokee might not be as off-road oriented as some would have liked, Jeep claims that it is still plenty capable when it comes to the rough stuff. The Trailhawk, Jeep's roughest, toughest version of the new Cherokee, has low-range gearing, a suspension lift, and a locking rear differential. It also has Jeep's Select Terrain system, similar to Land Rover's Terrain Response, which can be used to set the vehicle for sand, mud, snow, or rocky surfaces. How capable is the new Cherokee? Well, the SUV obviously doesn't boast the same off-road ability as the Wrangler, but for a compact SUV, it promises to be impressively competent. In fact, with its low-range gearing, the Trailhawk is probably best in its class when it comes to off-road driving. It's not a Wrangler, sure, but it's not supposed to be. Let's move on to the other elements of the new Cherokee. The look of the SUV has been, to put it mildly, somewhat controversial, and the biggest point of contention has been that new front end. Apart from the signature 7-slot grille, the front of the Cherokee looks nothing like that of any Jeep that has come before it. Does that mean it is unattractive? We don't think so. In fact, we quite like the look of the new Cherokee and think that it looks much better in the metal than it does in photographs. Lurking just behind that grille is a brand new 3.2 litre Pentastar petrol mill. It develops a very respectable 200 kilowatts of power and 315 Newton meters of torque. No diesel is available, but there is also a 2.4 4-cylinder petrol on offer that develops 130 kilowatts of power and 229 Newton meters of torque. What about that much vaunted interior? Jeep is making a big fuss about the Cherokee's all-new, premium interior, and with good reason. Compared to the previous generation, this new model has taken a giant leap forward thanks to refined materials and clever storage spaces. In limited guise, the Cherokee also comes with a staggering amount of standard equipment, including automatic headlights and rain sensing wipers, Nappa leather trimmed power seats with heating function and 8-way adjustment for the driver, a leather-wrapped shift knob, a 7-inch fully reconfigurable instrument cluster color display, and Jeep's own Uconnect media center. Okay, let's see how the Cherokee performs on the open road. The engine does a very decent job of getting the Cherokee up to speed, and it does so with a rather nice soundtrack to boot. Jeep claims 0 to 100 km an hour is done and dusted in around 8.1 seconds. But it feels at least a second faster than that, thanks to the sound of that meaty V6 when you're working it hard. The power plant is mated to a 9-speed, yes, that's 9-speed automatic gearbox. Do you really need 9 gears? Well, it certainly doesn't hurt. The gearbox is great and has a way of responding just how you want it to. Its shifts are as smooth as a block of butter rolling down a hill of Vaseline. Now there's a downside to all that power, and you can probably guess what it is. To counter the fuel-addicted nature of the V6, Jeep has mated it to the above-mentioned 9-speed automatic transmission. The company claims this new transmission's gear ratios afford the right responses at the right time, which means it's aggressive when it needs to be and frugal when it isn't. Unfortunately though, we couldn't see the result with regard to fuel consumption. Jeep claims a combined figure of 9.5 litres per 100 kilometers, but we often added another 10 litres to that figure. It has to be said though that we drove hard and spent only a few kilometers on the highway. The test vehicle had only a few thousand kilometers on the clock as well, so we're quite sure the fuel consumption will drop at some point. We reckon that, if driven carefully, it should be somewhere closer to the 11 or 12 litres per 100 kilometers mark. It might be thirsty, but the Cherokee is surprisingly fun to drive on tarmac. With a massive engine and a traction control system tuned for enthusiastic driving, the Jeep is actually quite good at going around corners. We're not suggesting that it's, say, an Alpha 4C, but for what it isn't half bad. All things considered, the new Cherokee is actually an excellent SUV, but that doesn't mean that it's perfect. The only two real issues are the fuel consumption and the hefty retail price of 564,000 Rand for the all-wheel drive 3.2 Limited and 608,000 for the Trailhawk. We like the new Cherokee very much. Yes, the looks are controversial, but that love it or hate it styling hides a truly impressive machine, which is completely worthy of that famous 7-slot grille.